Hi, it's Romy. Welcome to my channel, Taurus. This is your October 2020 soul story. My readings are a mix of astrological influences, working with the tarot and my guides. And if you have a sun rising or moon in Taurus, then the insights might well resonate for you over the coming weeks. You can also join me for the extended version of this reading. You'll find all of the details for that in the comment section, the description box underneath. And looking forward to seeing what's coming out for you. There's a lot happening this month. You can also find what decks I'm using in this spread, along with ways to connect with me in the description box too. So let's go ahead, get started, see what's coming out for you this month. Okay, Taurus, let's take a look at this very magical month of October. 2 full moons. We open on the 1st with a full moon in Aries, activating your 12th house, and culminate on the 31st, same day as Halloween, Samhain, with a full moon in your sign. Blue moon as well, and we open up your reading with the moon. You really are dipped in moonlight, this very powerful, potent time of the year that's almost going to feel like a bit of a mini review of 2020. Now, before you start to feel too concerned about me saying that, I think it's just going to be such an interesting time for you to realise what an accomplishment it's been to grow at the rate that you have, and in the way that you've had to, and yet still believe. Still believe in the hope and the possibility and the opportunity of things. And so it's just going to feel like one of those months that's incredibly intense, that is delivering gifts, bringing things to fruition, at the same time inviting you to completely surrender to some profound closure. A lot of unexpected fated events, you know, not necessarily having the levels of clarity that you would like in any given situation, and yet knowing and sensing and feeling into that energy of the moon to understand what's happening and where you need to be and where you need to focus. It's almost like there will be this haze that kind of moves all the way through the month. Now, Libra season that we're working through at the moment for you in the month of October, Taurus, is your 6th house. And so where you're going to find solace, where you're going to find the ability to be able to adapt and move and shapeshift when you need to, is in the way that you are able to give yourself that radical focus of self-care and devotion. Taking care of business is going to mean taking care of your physicality, your emotional energy, your mental health, your spiritual connection, and really just ensuring that the details are taken care of. So the big picture stuff that is going to be unfolding all around you, okay, some of the changes and the choices and decisions that are going to be happening to you, for you, because of you, have an underpinning of something that's going to give you a little bit of a lighthouse in amongst everything else, okay? 9 of Swords is, for me, really the indication of you feeling a little bit unsettled because you're not fully seeing or comprehending some of the things that are in a state of flux around you through this month of October. And it's kind of understandable, especially as the earth sign that you are, where you just want to feel that sense of confidence. And sometimes that moon energy, and even though one of those moons is in your own sign, you know, particularly that first one in Aries with your 12th house, it can really activate so much of our subconscious fears and trick us into thinking that things are far worse, or, you know, that we don't have what it takes, or, you know, activate that kind of imposter syndrome within us, you know, or look at what might be playing out around relationships for us, because, you know, this month Mercury moves retrograde in Scorpio, activating your 7th house. And so it's okay to recognize that there are going to be times in October where you are going to be hitting up against some of these uncomfortable realizations. But what you need to remember is so many of these fears are unfounded. They're unfounded. And it's that feeling of like everything feels worse in the middle of the night. You know, it's that time when you're just up and anxious and stressed, and then by the time the morning comes around, you look at it with fresh eyes and with completely, you know, different perspective, and your energy is awakened and grounded and centered, and you can really kind of come to terms with things and make sense of them, and it just doesn't have the same level of impact. So you need to remember that, and you need to focus upon that energy that Libra season gives you to really put things in place that are going to support you at any given moment and opportunity. It's self-awareness and intentionality that I feel is really going to make the difference for you when you're coming up against different situations and circumstances that are unfolding through this month. So here we have the Queen of Swords coming out. A lot of blues showing up here. Now, she does represent the element of air. Could be a Gemini, Libra or Aquarian, but in some ways what I'm seeing is that she's also the one that's helping you to cut through any of the unnecessary, invalid uncertainty or fear or doubt or stress or anxiety, okay? She's forward focused, and actually I really like the kind of balance that she brings to some of that heavy moon energy that at times could feel a little bit dense and a little bit overwhelming. We also have Pluto moving direct this month, which means that as of end of September, Saturn's moved direct, Jupiter already, and then Pluto. So all of these planets waking up, taking their forward motion, giving you so much understanding intellectually, but also energetically about the ways in which this growth has changed you, okay? And it's like you've really learned and gained from that experience, you know? That Queen of Swords energy is absolutely drawing upon what she knows to help her make the right calculated moves, decisions, choices moving forward. So for me, I think she's going to be a tremendous ally for you through this month of October, Taurus. Now, if this is representative of somebody in your life, and remember the moon also links into the sign of Pisces, so that also could be relevant for some of you. I think in spite of any lack of clarity or not knowing, or things that you might come up against that feel quite stressful for you, I think you are going to get a much clearer view of things as we make our way through the month, okay? But this came up in Gemini as well, and it sort of feels like there is this quality of you having, in some instances, to kind of wait and see, and perhaps making sure that you're not kind of calling out final decisions or making those kind of ultimatum to yourself or others just quite yet, right? You got to remember that solutions don't come from obsessing. Yeah, they don't come from obsessing. Solutions come from living, from breathing, from allowing shifts and changes and kind of absorbing the energies and continuing to keep moving forward. Now, I love that the Hierophant's coming in for you. Of course, it links into your sign, Taurus, and it is giving you that anchor. So if there are times where you feel like you don't have that light, that lighthouse kind of feeling, then draw upon this. And again, it sort of takes me back to just taking care of the details. This is about all the wisdom. This is the learning. This is you tapping in to the higher dimensional energy. You know, remember the veil is incredibly thin all the way through the month of October. You know, as we make our way to the culmination of that celebratory time for Halloween and Samhain, and we reach that point of completion with your full moon, something's coming to fruition there. And there's a beautiful sense of enlightenment that I feel coming on for you. You may be also wanting to channel some of that excess energy into learning something. So it's like, do you know what? If you feel uncertain or you're not sure, what can you direct your attention or focus to up-level yourself, to educate yourself, you know? And if it's the fact that you don't feel grounded, you don't feel sure of yourself, then again, the Hierophant wants you to connect into that beautiful inner guru and sort of take that time for sacred connection with your higher self, because again, that's going to give you some courage and confidence with some of the ways in which things are unfolding. You know, you have to feel deserving of the things that you're asking for, Taurus, because this month has powerful manifesting energy, all right? And it wants to deliver, and it wants to deliver big. You know, know, it wants to create that solid foundation for you to build something new upon. And even with the retrograde energy of both Mars and Mercury, bringing in some haze and confusion and miscommunication, you know, you're still not going to miss the bigger storyline. And I think that's something I also want you to remember through this month, okay? You should be proud of everything that you've achieved and proud of everything that you've become. Like we said, it's the self-awareness and the intentionality that are going to make the difference. Now, there is a quality of containment, holding back here a little bit with this Four of Coins energy coming through, all right? So if you are coming up against that from other people, and, you know, especially as we start to move into that retrograde scorpionic energy in your sign of relationships, you know, maybe there's a little bit of stress, or there's a little bit of communication issues that we have to find a way to work through. Careful that you don't end up coming across too harsh or direct. And if that's an experience that you're having from somebody else, again, it's an invitation, I think, to go back into that radical level of self-care, because the most important thing is about taking care of your energy. Remember, you know, you can't really influence, you know, cajole, control, have an impact on what anyone else chooses to do and how they want to show up at this exact moment. We're all going through, you know, powerful periods of change right now. And I think it's going to be, in some ways, kind of challenging through the month of October to actually get a read on where somebody currently stands, okay? And so if that's a cause of frustration, which it may well be for some of you, you feel you're not being given the information that you need, the energy that you desire to make the right choice, or to be free of something, or to move something forward, you know, whether this is coming in personally or professionally. Again, it's like, you know, look at what you can control through that awareness and intentionality of understanding what it is that you're trying to achieve, what it is that you really want for yourself. You know, I think that's then going to illuminate for you whether there are bigger changes that you want to make in regards to some of the connections and the energies that are in your life. You know, the Two of Cups comes through with this beautiful word of devotion, of unity, of togetherness. And so if that's not your experience, or even if it is and you're wanting to take it to the next level, because, you know, you have a firm, solid foundation here with the Four and the Hierophant. There's something about the commitment, and yet there is still some uncertainty or some clashing energy that I feel is kind of around you at the moment. And that might not be anything to do with how you're vibrating or what's going on with you. It may just be unfortunate, you know, circumstances that are in and around you at the moment, okay? But if you're feeling that people or situations appear to be very wrapped up in themselves, try to also be a little bit aware, okay, that everyone's feeling into that same profoundly moony energy through this month, intensity, and that actually giving yourself some space, giving yourself some reflective time to really understand what is going on, may well bring you to different conclusions, may well bring about some different solutions for you, okay? Now on the 9th, Mars squares Pluto for the second time. Back to August 13th was when it initiated. So think back to what was happening in and around that time for you, okay? It may well give you a heads up as to what you're going to be revisiting. There is choices and decisions to make here with the Two of Swords coming up. It does link into the energy of Libra as well, so it will certainly be through Libra season. Perhaps even around that new moon, because there's something that I feel is calling you and pushing you and driving you forward. And yet there's a little bit of hesitancy, or kind of holding back. There's a little bit of resistant energy, and it's almost like I want to go a little bit slower. Now maybe that's not you, that could be your experience of someone or something else, or just feeling the restriction. But remember, some of these restrictions are going to make their way into the most beautiful possibilities, extraordinary possibilities. You can't see it yet. The veil of that moon energy is just not quite revealing everything, but we are making our way towards that, to a time when there is much more freedom, much more energy and vitality available to you. Now you do have this Knight of Wands charging towards you, okay? A little disruptively, if I'm honest. Enthusiastically, yes, but disruptively, yes. So if you're trying to find your peace, if you're trying to like take some time out or take a step back, then just be prepared that the best laid plans and all that. You may well have someone wanting your attention, vying for your attention, wanting to come in and get involved with what you're doing. It is a really positive energy I'm feeling into in terms of what you're trying to achieve in and around your work, but you mustn't let your fears stop you. You mustn't let the resistance get in your way, okay? Now there is an impulsive, slightly rash quality to that Knight of Wands, and there's a lot of red coming up here, so could be a little frustration, even some volatility, and we know that's certainly going to be the case through this month of October. We have to be aware of it, and again ahead of time kind of thinking from a perspective of awareness and intentionality what we're going to do to take care of ourselves when these type of energies arrive at our doorstep unannounced. Okay, there is a quality of surprise that is all the way through October. It is not a natural month of progression. It's going to timeline hop all over the place. All right, it's just going to feel like you are just catching a breath and then kind of taking 10 steps backwards, completely changing direction, and then find yourself in a completely different place altogether. I mean, it's just, it could feel incredibly overwhelming. And yet, what it feels like it delivers when you come out the other side of it is this real sense of knowingness of like why so much of it had to take place in a specific order. It might not have been your order or what you necessarily wanted, but it's going to start to make sense to you in a way that says, okay, now I have this rich, fertile experience to draw upon and to start to plant something new in. And it's not something I feel you could ever have imagined in terms of the way that it's going to start to unfold. So it's a big month, it's an intense month, and it's a cracking open kind of a month. And it feels to a certain extent that at times it might feel quite restrictive and sort of almost like, you can't escape the emotion. Now, for some it may be more physical restraint in terms of like not being able to go places or to be free in that kind of a way. But I think for others it's going to be more around like spirit wanting you to deal with a specific pattern, a specific aspect to something, so that we can really get to the bottom of it, get to the root of it, and that those moons are just bringing it to light. They're illuminating something. Now you have 3 2s coming through, so there are some major decisions coming up for you this month, Taurus. And it could be to do with some, major changes in direction. It might be to do with what you're focused upon in and around your work and career and what really lights you up, what you want to devote yourself to. There could be a strong fiscal aspect to that, knowing what you want to do but wondering whether it can support you. Or maybe something is working and you're wondering, is it the right time to take the plunge with it? To go all in? If it's with regards to relationship, there's definitely uncertainty here, But here's the thing, it's like sometimes we have to give people the same amount of space that we know we require ourselves in order to do some of the work on ourselves that is being highlighted, I have this sense of you almost knowing what you want, and kind of giving that energy to the people that need to hear it, but then kind of stepping back and waiting. There is like a waiting quality, and I think that's the right approach in some instances, Taurus. Like, October I'm not saying don't take action, because if something feels really right and you're ready for it, then fantastic. But I'm just got this sense with these retrograde energies that you'll be glad that you were just a little discerning and you just gave it a wee bit longer, because there's just more that will come in that will help influence and shape what happens next. All right. Now, this idea of like you being really aware of what you're deserving of, okay? Spirit are just like bringing that back to the forefront again, okay? Because what I'm seeing is that they're preparing you for something, Taurus. They're preparing you for something. And you have to be looking in the direction of it in order to receive it. You know, it's almost like I'm looking at her in this Two of Swords, and she's kind of slightly focused downwards. But I want you to be that forward focused, looking straight out in front of you, ready to meet the energy of what's coming your way so you can seize the opportunity of it. Because there's something coming in that does feel very vibrant and exciting and kind of rich with possibility, but it might be dressed as something quite different, you know? So don't discount things on your first initial response, even though your intuition doesn't lie. I just feel like it's such a month where there's a little trickster energy in the air, and so the universe might have a bit of a sense of humor about how it wants to bring something to you. And you could be on the edge of discounting something, and actually it's going to end up being exactly what you were asking for. So there is this sense of closure that comes up powerfully through this month. We can't get away from it. 2 powerful full moons, that first one in your 12th house of ending and release, and very healing and cathartic if you allow it to be so, okay? It could feel a little bit more stressful for some of you, you know, recognizing what it is that you need to let go of or make space for, you know, so that you can come to the right understanding about something moving forward, will no doubt activate some uncertainty and some old stuff that comes up, you know. But I don't see that stopping you, because what you'll have done is done the pre-paving work energetically to just really make sure that you are ready for the change, you're ready for the shift. Expect powerful change, new moon eclipse. Now, we're making our way into the eclipse season, and you know, sometimes the energies of that, the storylines start to reveal themselves weeks ahead. So even though the next one is toward the end of November in Gemini, you are going to start to feel into that even through this month of October, Taurus. So be aware of what it wants to show you, where you feel the ground shifting and changing beneath your feet, perhaps even a revisitation to some of the themes that were playing out last eclipse season, particularly with that Sagittarius eclipse, and you'll get a bit of an idea as to some of the energies that are at play here for you right now. So we have these Halloween Oracle cards, which I just thought would be nice to use for this month. And you have midnight, the most magical hour of all. And this is the thing, I mean, this month is absolutely alive with magic. And if you can tap into the infinite potential of that, if you can harness the alchemy, if you can understand energetically the complexity and the layers and the way that you can shapeshift and move through this month, not in having to release everything that you know to be true, but just awakening your mind to the possibility that everything is so much bigger and brighter than you ever understood it to be. You really are going to be dipped in that moonlight, and there is just something extraordinary about it. There's also this quality of time as we look at the clock here. It's almost time. Don't get trapped into that way of thinking, Nine of Swords, that you're running out of time. It's not about that at all. It's about saying it's almost time. And I think that you could be feeling that energy bubble sort of rising up, you know, and that maybe feels a little bit restless at times, and you know, you don't really know how to deal with it. But remember, back to that 6th house energy of Libra season, put the rituals and the things in place that are going to support you, because those bigger reveals are coming. and with that there's going to be choices that you have to make. Okay, so this is a general reading, Taurus, and if you have resonated with it, and please do check back in with it throughout the month to see how these messages and insights start to unfold for you. And please let me know, I love to receive your feedback. If you'd like to join me for the extended version of this reading, I'm going to go ahead and just pull us some clarifying cards. What I'd invite you to do right now is to just focus on a specific question that might not have come out in the general reading here, and we'll go into that in a little bit more detail. Okay. So much blue in this reading today, and it just really draws me as well into your your throat chakra a little bit, the activation of that voice vibration, whether you're using it or whether you're holding back with it, but there's something about the transparency and the honesty that's needed. Okay, the moon's bringing in that Three of Wands, beautiful visionary card coming in here. Do you feel deserving of it? Beautiful, Ace of Cups. Don't miss the opportunities. Okay, so Five of Pentacles and Nine of Swords. I mean, there may well be some disruption to your level of security, emotional, fiscal, coming up or being reactivated this month. But remember, there's solutions here, proposals and offers. Maybe this is connected to a water sign. If this is about relationships, we'll take a look at that in more detail in the extended here. Tower energy wants to come in and clear the air, wants to come in and disrupt everything, because the changes that need to come in could only arrive because of it. So that point of closure, that finality to something, even though it may be uncomfortable, is going to set you free. The giving and receiving of energy is so significant as we work through Libra season, but also into your 7th house when we're in Scorpio, and how that impacts in the relationships in your life, where it has been an imbalance, and what you're doing to address that is coming up really strongly. The Devil linking into Capricorn, but also that Saturnian energy. Saturn's now moved direct, and it's not been an easy time to work through Saturn and Capricorn this last 3 years, but we're coming to the end of that time. And that 9th house energy it activated for you was really wanting to take you beyond in terms of your higher understanding. Nice having a couple of aces showing up here. We've got the Knight of Swords. There's just something about you being prepared, energetically prepared for something. Got that really strong. Okay, Two of Pentacles coming up twice here. So there is some juggling of resources, of your time, your energy, trying to figure things out. But you are going to get a positive outcome with it. Okay, Taurus, I'm going to leave it there. If you would like to join me for this extended version, we're going to go into these cards in a little bit more detail and pull out some additional insights and messages for you. Thanks for joining and for tuning into the channel. Really appreciate you. I wish you a beautiful month of October. Enjoy that magical full moon coming in on the 31st. What a special and rare time to receive a full moon in your sign. And I'll connect with you again next month. Take good care. Bye for now.